to another episode of the JC Mosley FC podcast. We are glad to have you here. Welcome back. If you've been here before, if you haven't been here before, welcome. We are here today to talk about what's been going on in the last month or so with football. Joining us as always, Christian. How are you, Christian?
I am doing great, man. A lot of has happened, and it's towards the end of the season, the finish line, and we have a lot of things to talk about. So very excited about that.
We do. Yeah, we're going to kind of jump in right away with talking about the Champions League. We're kind of coming up on the semi-finals here later this week as we are recording. But first, let's review the quarterfinal ties. So we had some pretty tasty ones when we talked about in the last episode. We were kind of looking forward to some of these ties. And I don't know about you, but I felt like it really delivered. It really was like, they can mess with the group stage of the Champions League, but once you get to the knockout, it's still the same, and it's just as good as it's ever been.
Honestly, honestly, I'm very happy with this. I think, even though we all know the reasons why they put more games in was to make more money, but it's really delivered, like you were saying. Those games were really good. I think we pretty much got everything right except Real Madrid and Arsenal. I think we said that Real Madrid was gonna go through, but Arsenal went through, and obviously Bayern Munich also. I believe we were on the same pitch there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't actually remember. I think so though. I know for sure at least one of us thought Bayern was going to go through.
Yeah, and then the rest we kind of expected Barcelona to go through and PSG to go through. But yeah, you want to talk about the game in details? Let's start with Aston Villa and PSG.
Yeah, so so we can, I guess, talk about the first leg. PSG won that one 3-1 in Paris. Aston Villa scored. So PSG were dominating basically the whole game, and then Aston Villa scored against the run of play to make it 1-0. Then just a few minutes later, we had a really, really good goal from Doué to make it 1-1 at halftime, and then not too long after halftime, Kvaratskhelia scored to make it 2-1. Villa were kind of holding off. PSG were dominating, throwing lots of people forward, but Villa were kind of holding on, and we were thinking at 2-1 going back to Villa Park, they've got a chance. And then in the 90th minute, Nuno Mendes scored a third for PSG, and that made it a very kind of interesting uphill battle for Villa in the second leg. I think we could, just to talk briefly here about this first leg again, or a little more, sorry. It kind of seemed like it was very similar to PSG's first leg against Liverpool, except they actually scored their chances this time.
Yeah, definitely. I am very surprised, not surprised, but amazed by what Luis Enrique is doing, because PSG has never been this mature. Like, this is a different team there, They came to conquer. They have a goal, and then they were very confident, even though they got scored on the first goal, and then they came back and then won 3-1. And obviously, I know there's some mistakes by Emiliano Martinez, which he doesn't make those mistakes usually, but it happens sometimes. And then, yeah, I think I was very impressed by what they did. Honestly, they dominated the game, and then, as you were saying, they put the chances away, and this is the reason why they were able to win the game pretty comfortably. And obviously, and the return leg was very hectic, because they scored 2 goals, and then we thought like it was over, that was going to be a comfortable win, and I really thought they were going to let it slip away, because that's usually what PSG do, and then they found a way to hold on and come back. But also credit to Aston Villa, crazy what they did.
Yeah, well, I did watch that game, and I saw obviously PSG went 2-0 up within the first half an hour or so, and at that point it's 5-1 on aggregate, and you're thinking this is over. There's no coming back from this. And then Villa get a goal back before half time, and that just gives them a huge amount of belief. And then kind of going into the second half, they scored twice, and they could and probably should have scored more, if not for some good saves from Donnarumma. And there was kind of some points in that game where I thought, it's happening again. PSG are throwing away a big lead, but like you said, I think just in the end from them very mature to kind of see it out, and maybe they got a little bit lucky with some of the missed chances from Villa. Again, like I said, some good saves from the goalkeeper too that made a big difference, but it was just I think Aston Villa proved to everybody that they are not out. They weren't out of place this season in the Champions League. Like, they deserve to be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Aston Villa, they really showed up big for the Premier League this season. I think this was a very successful season. I mean, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they were battling for to stay in the league, the Premier League, and now they are like fighting big teams in the Champions League in the quarterfinals. Honestly, if I were an Aston Villa fan, this would be like, this would be amazing. And I know Chris William is an Aston Villa fan, and he never thought that he would see his team battling against PSG in the Champions League, in the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
Right.
I mean, it's great for them, honestly. I mean, this is what football is about, having smaller teams be able to go from nothing to be able to be the big teams. And this is great. But yeah, as you were saying, I really thought PSG was going to crack because, I think they scored, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Aston Villa scored one goal. And then after that, they scored like 2 goals within 5 minutes, something like that.
With the second leg?
Yeah, the second leg. Yeah, the second leg was very eventful.
The second leg, PSG went 2-0 up. So that was, again, Emi Martinez kind of fumbling across for Hakimi to just kind of tap it in. And then, so PSG went 2-0 up, and then Villa got one back before half-time. And then after half-time, scored in the 55th and then the 57th minute. So that gave them, it was, and then from there it was pretty chaotic, like you said, right through to almost the end. I think there was I'd read some people talking about Emery making some subs, bringing Marcus Rashford off. He was one that was kind of getting in behind a little bit more and stretching the game. And once he came off, it kind of calmed down a little bit. It wasn't quite so chaotic. But yeah, just a great tie, really great tie.
Yeah,
and
yeah, definitely.
I think in the end PSG did deserve to go through. I don't think you can argue that, but Villa can be very, very proud of themselves, and it's not the way that they went out. They went out fighting, and that's what you want to see.
Exactly. This is the thing about football. At least you do your best. At the end of the day, that's the thing, is that it's okay to lose. I mean, obviously it's not okay, really okay, but losing happens. You're not gonna win every day, but at least you're going out with no regrets and say that you did everything you could. You fought. And we both play football. And we know how it is. And then, at least you don't want to leave the pitch and say, "Oh my God, I could have played better. I could have run more. I could have passed more. I could have taken more shots." At least you want to do your very best. And this is what they did. Honestly, yeah. I mean, obviously they're always going to be some regrets. Maybe as Emilio Martinez should have maybe not made those 2 mistakes, because he made a mistake on the first leg and the second leg, so that would have made a big difference. But wow, honestly, like usually we don't see those scores in the Champions League. I remember back in the day, like it was like people were playing more defense, because they care about more about the away and home, aggregate. Because back in the days where even if you tie on aggregate, it's the team that has more. Let's say if you remember like those away rules.
Yeah, the away
if you
goals.
score more goals away from home, you go through. So it was very tight back in the day, but now we're seeing big goals, and this is what I want to see. So honestly, I think UEFA don't get everything right, but they got something right with the Champions League, and I'm very happy with what I see. More games, more goals. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. You want to move on to Arsenal, Real Madrid?
What a game! Like, this is something I didn't see coming. I mean, I saw Arsenal potentially winning that game, but I didn't see them like winning like that. both legs, winning a Bernabeu. I never thought that would happen, but yeah. What do you think? What do you think about that game?
I think, yeah, it was. I mean, full credit to Arsenal. I thought they were going to struggle, to be honest. I mean, we've seen that they've struggled a little bit in the league in terms of scoring goals and winning games. They're dropping points to teams that they probably should be beating, and so I think going into that, I'd thought, well, that they might struggle here a little bit, but full credit to them. I mean, to win the first leg 3-0, did not see that coming at all. That was a big shock to me. And then to win the second leg as well. I mean, they had a penalty saved in that second leg. Saka missed a penalty, and you were kind of at that point. I was kind of thinking momentum's going to be with Real Madrid now. This is going to be, that this could be a tough day for Arsenal. And then Arsenal come out and managed to get a goal. Real Madrid get a goal back pretty much straight away. It was a bit of a silly mistake from the defender to make it 1-1 at the Bernabeu, but then Real Madrid just kept pushing, but they just couldn't do it. And in the end, Arsenal in the 90th minute score on a counter-attack to make it 2-1, which makes it 5-1 on aggregate, which, if you just think about that for a second, Arsenal beat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate in the Champions League. That is insane.
Yeah, I think this is... I was a Chelsea fan, obviously. I never want Arsenal to do anything in the Champions League, but, you have to give credit when it's due. And, wow, they did a masterclass. They dominated Real Madrid from the finish to the end, essentially. Also, can we just talk about those goals from Declan Rice?
The free kick goals, yes. Thank you. I knew there was something I was missing.
Yeah, those... I don't know. It's like, when you play the sport, you know how difficult it is to do something like that. Bend the ball and pretty much upper 90 both times. Incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
Declan Rice is a great player. And, he showed that there. This just shows how talented, English players are. And hopefully, honestly, I want to see England win something in the next 5 years, because if another generation, it's another golden generation that you guys have. So if nothing happens, it's going to be sad, honestly. But wow. I was in shock. I mean, I didn't watch the games live, but I saw the goals. I was checking out obviously the the score, and I was like, what? They're up 2-0 and then 3-0, and I thought, okay, Madrid was probably gonna score at least one goal, and it was like 3-0 at the end. I was like, wow. I was just like, okay. I mean, that's the only thing I can do it. It was Real Madrid, and they were not able to do it on the return leg. They were very poor on the return leg. Mbappe, I'm very disappointed in Mbappe. Like, I was expecting him to do something. He just wasn't able to. Just the whole team was so poor. Usually in the Bernabeu, like, Real Madrid does something. I mean, they've done it again and again against City when everybody thought they were out. I thought it would be the same thing again. I want to be very happy about that, but they just were not able to do it for some reason. And honestly, wow, Arsenal is a beast now. There's nothing we can say about it. From 3 years ago, they were terrible, and now they're like, I think they might have a chance to win the Champions League this season. Honestly, it looks like they have a really good chance. They just have to pass PSG and probably Barcelona, and then we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, I think, coming as a rival fan, the biggest praise I can say is I'm actually kind of worried that they might win the Champions League now. They are actually good enough to do it, I think. Yeah, I mean, full credit to them and to Arteta for the way they just went about it. And yeah, like you said, so many teams have come to the Bernabeu and crumbled under the pressure, and all the talk for the game was, anything can happen at the Bernabeu. You never know, like remontada. People were saying things like that, and Arsenal just didn't let it affect them at all. They just kind of very efficiently got about getting a result that they needed, and yeah, I was kind of disappointed with Real Madrid too over the two leg. I mean, the first leg they were dreadful, to be honest, and the second leg they were pretty bad too. I mean, not taking away from how good Arsenal were as well, but it didn't feel like I was watching a Real Madrid team. Like Real Madrid teams of previous years, I don't think would have gone out that poorly. But it's kind of a complete contrast to what we were saying about the PSG and Aston Villa game. Aston Villa at least put up a fight in the second leg, and they showed some courage and some bravery, and we didn't see that from Real Madrid at all in the second leg. We kind of saw them crumble and do worse.
Yeah, I honestly think you can see that's the end of the cycle for them. Obviously, they have a lot of new players. Don't get me wrong, but what I mean is like they need to buy new players. Like they can just bring Mbappe and expect things to just solve themselves. They have a lot of issues in the midfield. The midfield is aging. No offense to Modric, but he's not the Modric from 5 years ago. Obviously, they don't have Cruz. Let's not forget about that. Cruz was, he's a very humble guy, and he doesn't like, oh yeah, I'm the best. I won the Ballon d'Or. He doesn't really care about that. But he was a very important player last year for them. So losing him in the midfield was huge. And then the defense too, they have a lot of injuries. I know Camavinga was suspended for the second leg. So I think it's a team that needs to be rebuilt again if they want to win Champions League. But again, they won 15 times. They're not going to win every year. It's literally possible to win every year the Champions League. So I think that they're going to have some years that you don't win, and this is one of the years they don't win. But I totally agree with you that they were not present. I was very surprised. I was expecting not necessarily for them to win, but I was expecting a fight for sure from the Real Madrid that we all know. But it wasn't meant to be. But honestly, we have to give credit to Arsenal. Like as much as I don't want them to win anything, I texted one of my friends that is an Arsenal fan. Is like he was like he lost his voice. He was like, I can't believe this. This is gonna happen. And then he was, oh no, but we gotta stay humble. We don't know like what PSG is gonna do. But that's the game I'm looking forward to this week. This coming week, at the time we're recording, we're gonna see those games. So I'm very excited about that for sure.
Should we do Bayern and Inter?
Oh yeah, I was saying that Bayern. It was a very tight leg. I have watched the second game, at least part of the second game. Whenever I saw that Arsenal was gonna go through after like 75 minutes, I was like, oh, I don't want to waste my time. But I was keeping an eye on it because I was like, it's Real Madrid. You never know. They can score like 5 goals in 10 minutes. You never know. But anyways, I watched this game for like 30 minutes at least, and it was a good game. Yeah, obviously, Bayern Munich made a mistake of losing at home, so 2-1 in the first leg, and then they fought. They, unfortunately, the game tied 2-2 for them, and they were out that way. But Harry Kane showed up. It was a Bayern Munich team that really fought till the end for sure. They almost scored a goal at the very last kick of the game. That was going to take it to extra time. So, but Inter, they're back, and they might win it this year. We don't really talk about Inter as one of the favorites always, but they won. I know they lost the final 2 years ago, but they're hungry. They want to come back and try to win. So this is going to be exciting. To see who's going to win. What do you think about this? This time?
Yeah, I think this is probably the one that I know we kind of had said we both thought we predicted Bayern Munich to go through, but this was the one I had the most doubt about, just because Inter are a very strong team, especially at home. I think, like you said, once we saw that Bayern lost the first leg, which was in Munich, it was always going to be very, very tough for them to go to the San Siro and get a result, get a win that they needed. It was a very close tie, and again, I think Bayern they definitely showed up in that second leg. Harry Kane scored a great goal, like you said. They put up some fight, but Inter are just such a strong team, and I mean, credit to them. I think they're going to be ones to watch in the semi-final. And it is a lot of the same players that lost the final a few years ago to Man City. It's just a lot of the same squads. I like you said, they're hungry. They're going to want to go all the way. Obviously, from Bayern perspective, they're kind of expected to win the Bundesliga. So a lot of their kind of how they're measured is going to be based on their Champions League performance. I think they'll be disappointed to go out in the quarterfinals, but they did what they could. Inter just too good.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing about football is that you're not gonna win every year. Even though you're Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, but it's just at least fight. And that's what it did. Harry Kane was definitely there, present. He cannot blame himself. I saw the game; he was really trying. He had a couple of chances towards the end. It was like rebounds and like he tried to do a couple of volleys. It didn't work out. But I think he did a really good job. It was a really good game, honestly. The first leg, when you lose a first leg at home, you have kind of, and then you playing Inter away from home, you have to win away from home, and they were not able to do that. If they won even by one goal, they would have been able to at least take it to extra time. They were not able to do it. They made a couple of mistakes in the game, but overall it was a good game. Unless you want to talk more about this game, do you want to go to our final fixture of the quarterfinals?
Yeah, we'll go
Dortmund,
to the final one, the Barcelona and Dortmund. Well, Barcelona just blew Dortmund away in that first leg, 4-0, and
yeah,
kind of, at that point you thought, well, it's over,
mm-hmm.
It's done. I think Barcelona have just been they've just been so good this season. I mean, I'm really, really impressed with what Hansi Flick has done with that team. I mean, there was that team was in danger of kind of falling apart last season under Xavi. There was a lot of negativity around it, and he's just kind of come in and made them just such a good team. He's brought in a lot of young players, which is great for the club. And one of those young players, Lamine Yamal. I mean, come on, like this guy is unreal. We've talked about him a lot on this podcast before.
Like, as I was saying, like it was pretty much over the first leg. They're just like 4-0 away from home. And I think they didn't really care in the second leg. They were trying to, and that's the mistake. Maybe they made it like, okay, we got 1-4-0, like let's just park the bus or whatever, don't care. And then they almost came back. They scored 3 goals in the other. So I don't know the camp now yet, but where Barcelona is currently playing, scored 3 goals there. So I really thought it was going to be a miracle comeback. But then obviously there was Rami Ben Sibani that scored a goal, so it was 3-1. And then it was very difficult at this point for them to come back and win the whole thing. But hat trick from Seru Girassi. Like man of the match. I saw that. I don't know if you saw that picture. He held the man of the match trophy, but then he was crying. He was holding his tears, kind of thing. He was like, I did my best. I did my job. Hat trick, and we still went out. It was kind of crazy, but I think just Barcelona didn't care. They just did what they had to do at this point to go through, and they did. In Champions League, it doesn't matter how you win as long as you go through. Like we both know that. We remember just in 2012 how horrible we were. It was a miracle for us to win the Champions League, but we found a way to do it, and that's what that matters. In the Champions League. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, and again, I think Dortmund can be proud of the way they went out. It was always going to be very difficult for them after that first leg, losing 4-0, but they put up a good fight, and credit to them. And I mean, Barcelona will be pleased to have gone through, but I think for a lot of these teams, Barcelona and PSG especially, I think both those teams have been praised, and rightly so, by a lot of people. And maybe those second legs were a little bit of a reality check for those two clubs of, you're not going to walk the Champions League. It's never easy. I mean, don't get complacent is what I'm trying to say. They can get if they get complacent. I think both Barcelona and PSG maybe were guilty of that a little bit, of going up high enough on aggregate and just kind of coasting through a little bit. And but I mean, rightly so though. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I think Arsenal, didn't make that mistake. They put the best players there. They were like, you know what? This is the team that can come back and beat us. Even if we are like 7-0, somehow they were gonna score 7 goals or 8 goals against us. This is Real Madrid, and they had a really good game plan. Credit to Arteta, he did a really good job. And honestly, I mean, I know I'm a Chelsea fan, like diehard Chelsea fan, but you have to praise them whenever credit's due. to do what they have to do. But now they have to face another monster. So we want to go to the semifinals.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I want to first talk about the big game, the biggest game. Obviously, Barcelona Inter is also a big game, but Arsenal PSG, both teams never won the Champions League. Let's just say that they tried so many times and they failed. So this is gonna be like the most exciting because who wants it more? Because the other leg they're like, Barcelona, Inter Milan. We won it 5 times and 3 times, 8 times together. Like, if we don't lose it, win it, it's gonna suck, but it's not the end of the world. But PSG and Arsenal, they know that, they don't know when they're gonna win ever. So, wow, what do you think about this leg? Like, who do you see going through? Like, just like let's not use any bias, but like let's try to be journalists here and be like, in a football sense, who do you think is gonna go through
Yeah,
in this leg?
I think this is a really tough one to call. Honestly, I think Arsenal in the Champions League this season, especially in the knockouts, have just been really, really good. But PSG as well. I mean, they were in danger at one point of even qualifying for the knockout rounds through their like league phase position, but they managed to turn that around and qualify in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely was saying, it's gonna be a tough fixture to call because Arsenal, they've been really good this season. Obviously, they're not gonna win the Premier League as usual, but sorry, PSG. It's a very tough thing to call, as you were saying. But I really think, and I'm not saying that because I am a Chelsea fan, but I think PSG is gonna go through. I just had that feeling because of Luis Enrique. I think this is the factor I have here because he has experience. He's won Champions League before with Barcelona, uh, 10 years ago. I just can't imagine the final. I really think that I think it's gonna be very tight. Might even go to PKs, but I believe that PSG is gonna come on top. It's gonna be a very exciting game, man. I should be able to watch both games in full. I'm gonna be watching both games. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna have time to watch them. It's gonna be exciting, honestly. Let's see who's gonna win. But what do you think? Who do you think is gonna win?
I think, I think PSG are really, really good. What Enrique's done is he's got them playing really, really well. Arsenal, though, in the Champions League have been really great too. So I think it will go to extra time. I think it's going to be a really, really close one, to be honest. I think maybe PSG do it on penalties. Also, crazy that PSG have faced English teams in every knockout round so far, and beaten them all so far.
Yeah. So this is what I feel like there's a part in here. Yeah, it's not an exact science. This was never an exact science, but we've watched so many games and we've seen the Champions so many years, and I had that feeling. The reason why I've been picking PSG is because of Luis Enrique. I really think that what he's doing at PSG, and this is a very young team. They're not like the most experienced. It's not like Ramos in 2018 or Ronaldo in 2018 either. It's like a team that is not very experienced if you look across the board. But I really believe that I don't know why Arsenal just have a history of bottling things, and even though they beat Real Madrid, but it was a Real Madrid that wasn't really informed either. When you think about it,
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be very close. But I really believe that PSG is gonna pull through. But then if Arsenal goes through too, I will not be surprised at all, and I think they will deserve it. But if I were to put my money on it, I will pick PSG.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Same. I think PSG will probably, if I had to bet, I'd bet on them. But it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal do it as well. Barcelona and Inter is the other semi-final, which I think, again, looking at that, people have talked about Barcelona from earlier in the season too, of like their favorite for the competition. And I think, again, this is an example of we've got to make sure they're not complacent, because Inter are a really good team. I think if Inter Milan can get a draw or even a win in Barcelona, it's going to be really tough for Barcelona to go to San Siro and get a result. I do think that Barcelona are a very, very good team. And I think what Hansi Flick has done, like we said earlier, has been exceptional. He's been really, really good, taking that team and just made them a really, really good team.
Do you know that they're on course to win a quadruple?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean they're top of La Liga. They won the Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid. Real Madrid could go trophyless this season, by the way, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, they won the European UEFA Super. I know
That's
people don't
true.
really found that, but it's still a trophy, you know.
Yeah,
So they won't be trophyless, but for I don't know if you remember how we're talking about how, at least I remember because I was the one I was like all over that. I was like Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinny Jr. I thought it would be game over. That they would just roll on everybody this season, maybe for 2 or 3 seasons at least. Um, and it just hasn't worked out the way they planned. And I just feel so bad for Mbappe because he deserves to win the Champions League, and it's not his fault. You just can't win every year. It's just impossible to just be on the top of
yeah,
your game every single year. It's
and
not. It's not France anymore. So he's not used to it. He's used to like rolling over everybody. This is Spain. You have Atletico Madrid. You have Barcelona, and you also have like other teams that can beat you at any day. And yeah, this hasn't worked out. But
yeah,
anyways, I know you were talking about the Barcelona
yeah.
Inter team.
I think this is another one that's really difficult to call, but just the way that Barcelona have played this season across the board in all competitions, they're going to really want this. I mean, it's been 10 years for them since they've won the Champions League. Have they been to a final in that time? I don't
Who,
know if they
Barcelona?
have.
No,
Barcelona, I
no,
don't think
they
they've
haven't.
been to a final at all. So it's,
No,
you
this is
know,
maybe 10 years.
10 years for the club since being in a Champions League final. I think they're really gonna be hungry for it. Inter are gonna put up a good fight, but honestly, I see Barcelona kind of doing the job over the two legs. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think this is even tougher to call. Honestly, I think it's like Barcelona is like on a really good course of winning everything this year. They are a really good team. Like what an improvement from you know a year ago even. So Hans Flick is an amazing job there. It's a scary team to play, I guess. But an Inter is just Inter. They are a good team too. I know people don't really talk about Inter, but like it's a really good solid team. They have really good players. It's gonna be super tough. But if I had to pick a team, I'll pick Barcelona probably. I think Barcelona has what it takes to go through. So I'm seeing a Barcelona PSG team, PSG win. Yeah, in the final, which is gonna be exciting, honestly. Um,
Yeah,
I was very worried about how the Champions League will suck this year. To be honest, Elliot, I thought with all the changes it would be terrible, but it has delivered. It really delivered. I love it. This new format, and yeah, I think it's gonna be Barcelona. I don't really necessarily think it's gonna be a close game, but I think Barcelona is gonna somehow find a way to go through, and then obviously PSG. This is my prediction.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think too the subplot of Luis Enrique versus Barcelona in the final is going to be an interesting one, especially since, like you said, he won their last Champions League. So whichever of those four teams, whichever two make it to the final, I think we're at the stage where it's going to be a really good final either way. Like if it's Arsenal Inter, I think that could be a very, very close one. I think if it's Inter PSG, that can be a close one. If it's Barcelona Arsenal, that can be a close one. I think it's really set up now to be very, very close, very, very interesting. And I think all four teams that are in the semi-final deserve to be there. Yeah, I think a PSG Barcelona final would maybe be the most exciting from a neutral perspective, just because those are two very exciting young teams playing really, really good football.
Yeah,
But we'll
yeah.
have to see.
Honestly, whoever goes to the final is gonna be exciting. It doesn't matter. If you are Arsenal Inter, Arsenal Barcelona, PSG Barcelona, PSG Inter, I think we're gonna be thrilled to watch it. But yeah, I really think that PSG Barcelona is going to be cinema. Like Luis Enrique trying to give PSG the first Champions League, and then Mbappe leaves the year before. so they're gonna win it without him. And then Barcelona is gonna try to, obviously win after 10 years. So, I, but I really believe that those are the two favorites, anyways, to go through. But I think they're gonna do what it takes to win the final. But we'll see what happens. It's exciting. Probably, I'm definitely gonna watch the Arsenal PSG game for sure. I'm gonna try to see if I can watch the Barcelona Inter, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So, but do you think, since you already have our
Yeah,
two moments, what do you think is gonna go through?
I think Barcelona do it. I think
I
Barcelona
always
win it.
go with PSG. I will go
Hey,
with PSG. I think this is PSG's year. From what I've seen, once they pass Arsenal, like they're gonna give everything. Those young players. I know Ansu Flick has never lost a final in his career. I don't know if you heard of
I
that
didn't know
story
that.
before.
No, I didn't know that.
He's never 7 wins out of 7. He won yesterday. He almost lost yesterday against Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey, but he still won that final. So he's never lost a final, but I think it's gonna be his first loss there. And I think PSG just has what it takes. That's my prediction. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
and I think this is their best team. It might not be the best squad that they've had in a long
Hmm.
time, but in terms of like on paper, but the team as a whole, this is their best team that they've had in a long time, and I think if they would be very deserving of winning the whole competition if they do go on and win the final. Yeah. Should we take a quick break and then we will come back and talk about some more stuff?
The Europa League. Yeah.
All right, we're back, and we're going to talk briefly here about the Europa League and the Conference League, the other two UEFA competitions that are happening as well. Don't get as much attention always as the Champions League, but still very good competitions. We had a couple of interesting results. We'll get to the most exciting tie of the Europa League quarterfinals here in a minute, but we'll just quickly run through all the other games. So in the first one I have here, Bodo Glimt from Norway, I think. I don't know 100%. I think it's from Norway. Beat Lazio over the two legs. They beat them on penalties. It was 3-3 on aggregate, and then they won the penalty shootout, which, you know, if you'd have asked me going in blind who's going to win that, I would say Lazio, because I don't really know if I could name a player from Bodo Glimt or if I could name anything about them really. But they won the tie overall, so credit to them. They won the first leg 2-0, and then they lost the second leg 3-1, but of course with aggregate that meant 3-3 overall, and doing it on the penalty shootout. So fair play to them. Rangers and Athletic Club is another one. Rangers managed to hold out for a 0-0 draw in the home leg despite having a player sent off. But then Athletic Club in the return leg managed to win 2-0. They were just too strong for them in the end. So Athletic Club progressed there. Another one that a lot of people had an eye on, especially from an English perspective, is Tottenham. Tottenham against Eintracht Frankfurt. The first leg finished 1-1, and there's been a lot of talk
How
about.
in the world did they manage to do that? Like, Tottenham is struggling this season. I mean, I'm honestly, would you be really upset and mad if Tottenham wins the Europa League this year? Like, would you really care?
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it because I feel like
Uh-huh.
they've been so bad this season, like you said. Like to
Yeah,
think that they could still end with a trophy and a
Champions
European
League.
trophy and then qualify for the Champions League. I mean, Tottenham could finish 17th or 16th this season. I mean, that's genuinely like where they could finish, and yet they could be qualifying for the Champions League. Like that's ridiculous for winning
That's a
the
big,
Europa
big
League.
crazy.
Uh,
Uh,
but
but yeah,
I
we'll see
mean,
what happens. But it's
credit
exciting.
to them, they got it done. I think that their manager's job maybe kind of depends on them winning the Europa League. So
No, I think they're gonna. I heard that they're gonna fire him regardless of because it's not sustainable. He has been so horrible this season.
yeah,
But like, as a Chelsea fan, I look at him like, okay, maybe we don't have it that bad. We could have had it a lot worse, but we don't have it that bad. So But anyways, you want to talk about the big game?
Yeah.
Man United against Lyon.
Yes.
What a game! I thought that United was going to bottle it. Because I think I watched a few minutes of the game towards the end, and then I saw that Lyon was scored 2 goals in extra time. And I was like, okay, it's game over. There's no point. And then guess what? Final score 5-4, and I was like, how is that possible? And I watched the highlights. I was like, this is another reminder how this is the best game in the world. I don't care what others say, and I love sports. I love hockey, I love basketball, I love tennis. I watch sports in general, but this just shows how crazy it is. And wow, like, did you watch the game?
I did not watch the game, no. But I did see the highlights as well, and I was kind of following the score um, as it was happening. Obviously there was kind of a funny moment before the first leg where Nemanja Matic, who plays for Lyon, said in a press conference that Onana was the worst goalkeeper Man United have ever had. um,
Yeah, I heard
and and then Onana proceeded to follow up and defend himself by making 2 mistakes to let in 2 goals for Lyon, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, that first leg finished 2-2, and then the second leg. I mean, the second leg surely has to be one of, I don't know, maybe this is recency bias, but maybe it has to be one of the top 10 European quarterfinal ties of all time. The way it just kept swinging back and forth, and you thought at one point, Man United went 2-0 up. You thought, oh wow, they've actually maybe done it, and then Lyon got it back to 2-2, and then Lyon went 4-2 up, and then, like you said, 5-4 with 2 very, very late goals. I mean, if I'm Lyon, I'm going to be really, really disappointed that we've not done the job there, but that's how it goes. That's football sometimes, and credit to Man United again. That's another team that's just been really, really poor this season in the Premier League. They've struggled a lot. We haven't really seen that kind of a fight from them much at all this season, but to their credit, they really they never gave up, and they managed to not only get it back to, I mean, at one point I was thinking, well, even if they can get it back to 4-4 to give themselves a shot on penalties, that would be incredible, but they managed to win it.
They scored 3 goals within 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It was 3-2. You know, Actually, it was 4-2. Do you realize how crazy that was? It was
Yeah.
4-2. By until the 114th minute. So at this point, you're like, it's over. They have to score 3 goals to win the whole game, or score 2 goals to go to penalties. Let's mention that there was a red card for Lyon, so that affected them a little bit. But Lyon still scored 2 goals in extra time with that red card. So I'm like, that is incredible. They didn't give up. Their season was literally on the line. Because if they win the Europa League, they get Champions League spot. So this would be considered a successful season. Because right now they're 16 or 17. I don't even know what position they are right now.
Yeah, I think same. If they're around there with Tottenham, 15, 16, 17. I think Man United and Tottenham are in 15th and 16th right now. I'm not sure which order,
but anyway, I know I'm running out of time here, but they scored a penalty with Bruno Fernandes, 114th, and then Kobe Mainu, 120th minute, and then 1 minute later, Harry Maguire. Like, okay, I don't care what people say. Sure, he plays like sometimes, but this guy's a warrior. Despite all the craziness that he's been going through, like, he shows up and wins the game for United. At this point, just build him a statue. At this point, just do that for him. Wow, incredible. But it's exciting. So you want to do a quick predictions of the semifinals, and then who's going to win the whole thing?
yeah, let's do it. So we got Athletic Club against Man United, and we have Tottenham against Bodo Glimt. I mean, this genuinely could be an all English final, which would be crazy when you think about the seasons that they both had. I don't know. I think Athletic out of those, I don't know. I mean, I could see it going anyway. I could see Man United and Tottenham both having like missing their chance in these games. Tottenham, I think you'd expect them to beat Bodo Glimt, but it's also very realistic that Tottenham would fail to do that. I think Man United Athletic Club is a little bit more of a difficult one to predict. It really just kind of depends on who's going to show up. But I think after Man United's last round performance, they're going to have a lot of confidence, and I think that maybe might be enough to get them to the final. So, as much as it pains me, I'm going to say it's a Man United Tottenham final.
I will disagree with you, and that's not because I am I'm a Chelsea fan necessarily, but I think Tottenham, God, if they don't win against Bodo Glimt, whatever that team is, it's going to be embarrassing. Like, they literally have everything to at least make to the final. I really see an Athletic Club and Tottenham. United has been so poor this season, and if I had to put my money on it, like I just wouldn't pick them. So I really believe that it's gonna be Atletico Club and Tottenham, and then the winner. Sorry, at Tottenham, like it'd be great for you guys if you win something for the first time in almost 2 decades, but I see Atletico Club, and the Spanish teams they always find a way to win. So I will pick Athletic Club.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. The Spanish team's record in Europa League is phenomenal,
especially against English teams.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my prediction. Say it's going to be a Man United Tottenham final, and then United win. I think though whoever gets to the final against Tottenham is going to beat Tottenham. Sorry, Tottenham fans, but you're not going to win that final, I don't think. And if you do, fair play. I mean, we could be in a situation where Arsenal wins the Champions League, Tottenham wins the Europa League, Chelsea wins the Conference League, and it's all London clubs winning. Like it's all three clubs from the same city winning all three UEFA competitions, which would actually
but we never hear the end of it from Arsenal fans. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're better than you guys now because we got Champions League." Ha ha ha. But guess what we're gonna say now? We're gonna be like, "Okay, we were the first team that won every single European competition. So now you have another challenge to do."
Yeah, and maybe while we're talking about that briefly, do you want to just quick take a look at the Conference League semi-finals?
Yes.
So we obviously, our team Chelsea just managed to scrape through against Legia Warsaw. We lost at home to them, which was an embarrassment, really. I mean, it was a dreadful, dreadful performance. We won the first leg 3-0.
I didn't watch that game for that reason. I was like,
it was a very, very bad performance from us, and a lot of criticism on the manager and the players, rightfully so. But either way, we do make it into the semi-finals. We're playing against Djurgården, who are a team from Sweden, I think. Never heard of them before the draw was made, so no disrespect or anything, but we got to win that. I mean, if we don't win that, man, just got to go.
We should be able to go through. I'm really confident we should be able to go through. And a Real Betis and a Fiorentina, I would pick a Real Betis to go in the final.
Yeah.
And I think as much as I don't know. I think we should be able to beat Real Betis, but I don't think it's a guaranteed thing. It just depends on if the players want it because it's going to be embarrassing if we don't win the Conference League.
Yeah.
So I will say Chelsea wins the whole thing, but Real Betis could beat Chelsea too in the final. So we'll see.
Well, and like you said too, Spanish teams in these competitions against English teams have a good record. So I think if I'm going to say Chelsea and Betis to the final as well, I think I agree with you that Real Betis will beat Fiorentina. I'm gonna. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm biased, but I'm gonna go Chelsea win it. I don't think we win it comfortably. I think if we get to the final, it's going to be a tough game, but I do think we win.
Okay. Around the leagues, we're gonna start with La Liga McDonald's. So La Liga McDonald's. Obviously, there's no surprise there. PSG already won the title with 7 games to spare at the time of this recording, obviously. So we have PSG, Lille, and Monaco. So, however, if you can see on the table right now, the race to the Champions League is actually harder than the one. It's about the same as the one in England right now. We have 56 points Lille, 55 points with Monaco, 55 points with Marseille, 54 points with Lyon, and 54 points with Nice, and 54 points with Strasbourg. So any of those teams can make the Champions League. Wow, this is actually exciting. I might start watching Ligue 1.
Yeah,
What do you think?
it's just just those 2 points separating second from seventh is crazy. I mean, PSG lost, I think, this weekend, which meant they were not going to have an unbeaten season, which was looking likely at one point. But yeah, the race for Champions League is really, really interesting in the French league this season. It's very, very close. I think, you know what, there's maybe 3 games left, I think.
Oh yeah, actually they don't have that many games in
Because
France
they have
anymore.
18 teams. So there's there's
34
not that
games.
many more
There's 3
games
games left.
left.
Yeah.
Actually, Marseille has 4 games left. They obviously have they've played 30. A lot of the other teams around them have played 31. So I think Marseille will, you know, if they, I don't know. It's changed a lot throughout the season, and it's so close. This is just what you love to see. This is what makes it so exciting, is when everything's just this close.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So who do you think is gonna predict? Obviously, we know PSG is gonna win the league. Who do you think is gonna be in the top 3?
I think Lille and Monaco will, as it is now, I think those will round out the top 3. I think it's going to be very, very close. It could come to goal difference, or I think I'm not sure. I think goal difference maybe is the deciding factor in
Yeah,
Liga.
it's the first deciding factors, and then yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, I think it'll be Lille and Monaco that make it through. I think Strasbourg have been pretty good this season, and I think they sneak into a European spot. Maybe not Champions League, but I think they'll get Europa League or Conference League, even though they're in 7th right now.
Yeah, I
But
think it's probably
yeah,
gonna be. Yeah, I think I honestly think Marseille and Lyon are gonna make it in the top 3. So I think PSG, Marseille, Lyon, and then I see Monaco missing out in being the Europa League, and then I see Lille the Conference League. At least that's my prediction. So let's go to the Bundesliga. I want to
Bundesliga.
start off by Hurricane.
He's gonna win a trophy.
Finally. There's 3 games left. They're 12 points ahead of time. At 12 points ahead of Leverkusen. And they have 20 games, 30 goals difference ahead. So, yeah. Finally, bro.
They're gonna win the
Oh,
title.
I'm so happy for that dude. I'm so happy. And people are saying that he's not actually going to win a trophy. He's going to win a plate. Because, the Bundesliga is a plate. So people are still trolling him. I'm like, what else do you guys want him to do? You would have trolling him with all the records. He never won a trophy. So finally he wins a trophy. And you guys are still finding a way to, like, troll him. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
But anyways, Bayern wins. And then it's pretty straightforward over here. Leverkusen's end up second.
I think Dortmund will struggle to get into the top 4 because they just had such a horrid start to the season, and they changed managers too. And their new manager's done okay. He's got them up there into those European spots as it stands. I don't think they're going to get Champions League. Yeah, I think to see Freiburg in that top 4 is kind of exciting for them. I'm not sure that they've been in the Champions League before. Maybe they have, and my knowledge of German football is not fantastic. But then Eintracht Frankfurt too. Obviously, they went out to Tottenham in the last round of the Europa League, like we said, but it looks like they still are in a good position to finish in a Champions League spot. I don't see it changing too much, to be honest. As it, maybe like you said, Dortmund got up to 5th ahead of Leipzig. But I don't know. I think there's not as much to play for as in the Bundesliga as there is in some other leagues. So I think it probably stays. As it is.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to La Liga.
Yeah.
I like Real Madrid, but I see Barcelona running away with this. They're 4 points ahead. There's 5 games left, and they've been on like beating everybody. Unless something really drastic happens, I think it's gonna be Barcelona winning it, Real Madrid second, Atletico third, and then Atletico Club fourth. Yeah, I don't see Atletico club losing that like that. Yeah, I think that this table is gonna pretty much stay the same. The only difference is that there are 5 spots, at La Liga now this year, obviously for teams. So I think Real Betis is gonna be between Real Betis and Villarreal for the Champions League spot, last Champions League spot. But other than that, yeah, uh, technically La Liga has been more competitive this year than the usual
Hmm.
years. I know, like, you don't really see it from the table because Atletico Madrid, I don't know what happened to them. They were like really fighting against Barcelona and Real Madrid, but
Yeah, there was a
I really
period
believe that,
where
yeah.
even just a couple months ago when we were doing an episode, it was that all three of those, Atletico, Real, and Barcelona, were kind of leapfrogging each other throughout the season, and it was very close. But Atletico have just kind of fallen off a little bit recently, and then yeah, I mean it's not over for Real Madrid. 4 points, it's doable, but it's going to be at this point they have to rely on Barcelona throwing it away, and I don't see that happening, especially after their Copa del Rey win this weekend. They That's going to give them a big boost, beating Real Madrid, feeling like they can go all the way against them in the league too. So, um, yeah, again, I don't know if I see this changing too much. I think what I would say about Real Betis in sixth, they're going to be focused on Conference League maybe as a chance for a trophy. So maybe that will hold them back in the league a little bit, and they won't make that fifth Champions League spot. But they're only 1 point behind right now. It's still possible.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
let's
definitely
move
been a
on to the
much more interesting
Serie A.
La Liga. Yeah, Serie A.
This Well, we only have two teams, that can go through: Napoli and Inter Milan. And Inter Milan, so Napoli has a game in hand currently at this time. Who do you think between Napoli and Inter? I will pick Napoli because of Antonio Conte. I think he's gonna find a way to get it done. But again, I could be wrong.
Just like what I was saying with Betis, I think Inter Milan being in the Champions League semi-finals, they kind of have a choice now. They have to maybe, where do they put their focus? Do they put their focus on the Champions League, or do they put their focus on winning the league? I think Antonio Conte has just done such a great job with Napoli, and he's won that league before. He knows what it takes. Um, I agree with you. I think I see Napoli winning, which that for them would be a great season because they didn't even make any European competition at all with their league position last year. I think they finished 9th or 10th. So for Conte to come in and make them a Serie A winning team is exceptional. Really, really good. Potentially, anyway. I think looking at the rest of the European spots, Roma were way off for a while, but they've managed to get themselves up into a Conference League spot. Very disappointed with AC Milan, as we've kind of been saying this season. They've just not been very good. They're not in European places at all. Yeah, I think there's not going to be too much change really to the table here either. But I could see Lazio moving up into that. They're in that race too. Fiorentina as well. I think European football for AC Milan is maybe done at this point. They are 6 points behind with 4 games to go. I think that's going to be really tough, but you never know. But yeah, I think Napoli wins the league.
Yeah, so I think Liga Portugal. So yeah, you think Napoli's gonna win the league too?
I think
Okay,
so.
good. All right, let's move to the last league we'll talk about is Liga Portugal. And wow, it's always, I mean, not always, but mostly those two teams, Sporting and Benfica. Even though Sporting, they've lost their manager. They only have one spot for the Champions League, by the way. I just noticed that, which is insane. They have like one spot for that, and you also have a qualifiers. If you're second in La Liga Portugal, you go to qualifiers. So they have a very tight window, essentially, of like that. So I'm gonna gamble. I'm gonna see Sporting is gonna win the whole thing. There's only 4 games left, so I'll pick Sporting. Is gonna win, and Benfica second, and then Probably Porto is going to probably make it to the Europa League, I think, and then Braga is going to be fourth, and everybody else doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah,
They have nothing to go through. So, what do you think?
no, that's a very interesting title race. I think Sporting definitely have struggled losing their coach Ruben Amorim, but I still think they'll get the job done. I think they'll win it. Should we talk about Premier League too?
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about the Premier League. So I am just frustrated, man. When I see this, I'm like, we should not be. We put ourselves in this position. We're so up front. We could have, should have been like third, with maybe probably the same level as Arsenal by now. We just lost so many games in the past few weeks, and drew so many games. It's just been horrible. And obviously, Liverpool is probably going to win the league today. And then my prediction, and I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible here. Arsenal second, City third, Chelsea fourth, and I will give Aston Villa the fifth spot for the Champions League. And I see Newcastle sixth, and Nottingham Forest seventh. This is my prediction. The reason why I'm saying that because Nottingham Forest has been like not doing good the past few days. They've been horrible. I know they're playing today or tomorrow.
I think they play today in the FA Cup.
Oh yeah, they're playing tomorrow. Nottingham Forest. No, not tomorrow. Sorry. Yeah, they're actually playing. Yeah, Thursday on Thursday.
They play on Thursday in the league. Yeah.
Yeah, play on Thursday against Brentford. So we'll see what they're gonna do. But this is a very interesting Champions League thing. But usually the league title is decided way sooner than that. So it's been an interesting league title. I think it's been pretty much between Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool. The funny thing is that we were in the title race for the longest time, and we just fell down like crazy.
Just fell away.
But anyways, I just really hope we get Champions League. But I think this is my prediction: Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest. What about you, Elliot?
Yeah, I think I'm less optimistic about Chelsea, to be honest. At this point, I think we finished sixth. Just looking, we've still got to play Newcastle. We've still got to play Liverpool. We've still got to play Nottingham Forest. There's three of the remaining 4 games.
I mean, it's a good thing. Think about it. Sorry, I just want to say something. It's a good thing that we're playing against those teams because then we have the destiny on our hand. I think this is a great thing we're playing against those teams because then if we beat them, then we can actually go through. Because let's say if you play against other teams, you don't really know the other teams' results. But now you have a chance of like confronting them. Are we playing Aston Villa 2 one more time, or are we done with
no? We play. So our last 4 games: Liverpool, Newcastle, Manchester United, and Nottingham Forest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd like to think that we beat Man United because of the season that they've had, but we just don't have a good record against them recently, so I'm nervous about that one. Newcastle, we have to go away to Newcastle. I just feel like that's a tough place for us to get a result. We have to go away to Nottingham Forest. They could be out of the race by that point, but they could still take points off of us. I don't know. I'm trying to be more cautious in my predictions. I think. I think I agree with you. Definitely we have it in our hands, and if we win our remaining games, we finish top 5. So, but that's a big ask. We just, Cole Palmer's gone missing a little bit recently. Jackson's gone missing. Although I know he did score to win us the game yesterday against Everton, but our attacking players just haven't quite hit the heights they were hitting at the beginning of the season. Obviously, title's done. As we're recording this, second half of Liverpool versus Tottenham just kicked off, and Liverpool 3 up. So unless something crazy happens there, Liverpool won the title. They only needed a point to win anyway. Arsenal will definitely finish in that top 4. I think Aston Villa will finish 5th, and then I think it's a case of, is it Chelsea in 6th or is it Newcastle in 6th? And I think it could come down to what happens in that game between us and them, honestly. it's going to be very, very close.
Let's hope that when we do another season recap, that we're gonna be happy that Chelsea's gonna win the Conference League and the Champions League. So
Let's
another
hope so.
the Conference League and
The
be in the
Conference League and finish in the top four. Yeah.
So let's just hope that, because that'll be awful if we don't.
Last question before we kind of wrap up for today. Successful season for Chelsea if we win the Conference League and qualify for Champions League. I think that qualifies as a successful season.
Either or, it both would be great. If you win the Conference League and the Champions League, would be great. But if we win the Conference League, even though I'd honestly rather qualify for the Champions League than winning the Conference League. That's how I am right now at this point, because I'm like, I don't really care about Europa League. I'd rather be in the Champions League. If we win both of them, it'd be successful. But if you only qualify for the Champions League, that'd be a great season. And then if you only win your Conference League, that also be successful. We could have done a lot better this season, but we could have done a lot worse too. We could have been like out, round of 16 of the Conference League and like staying on 10th spot right now. So I mean, I really think that this team could have done better, but a lot better. But I want to be happy with that.
Yeah.
What do you think about you?
I think we have to win Conference League. If we don't, I think there's got to be serious questions about Maresca and his future and if he's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
We should have already wrapped up Champions League qualification, really, with some of the points that we've dropped. It's ridiculous that we are not further ahead. But that's the way it goes. I think if we do qualify for the Champions League, that will be a successful season. I think that was the target before the season started. I think if that target is not met, regardless of whether we win the Conference League, it's a failed season, honestly. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yep.
But anyway, well, good chat today. We have some great football to look forward to. Obviously, the Champions League semi-finals will be interesting. Next time we record, we'll be talking about that and probably the final as well. Looking forward to the next few weeks of ending the season. It's going to be as always, it's going to be an interesting end. There's still a lot to play for in a lot of different competitions and a lot of different leagues.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Talk to you guys next time.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.